Hey, how are you? My name is Ben, and I'm a movie buff. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite movies of the 2010s. We've finished one decade and moved on to another. Someone did request that I cover this topic, so whoever that was, I'm sorry I've forgotten, but thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm going to be talking about my favorite movies of the 2010s. Keep in mind, of course, that this list, if I were to come back to it in a month or two from now, chances are the order of movies might change, but I'm going to give it a try now, and it'll be interesting to look back on this list to see where I've placed certain movies. So I have 18 movies here that I'm going to be talking about today. 8 of them are honorable mentions, and then I'm going to be doing a top 10 list of my favorite movies of the 2010s. So my honorable mentions for best movies of the 2010s are The Untouchables, Star Wars The Force Awakens, War for the Planet of the Apes, A Quiet Place, Paddington 2, Joker, Tangled, and Warrior. Coming in at number 10 is Arthur Christmas. I've talked about this movie a few times on this channel. It feels like I'll take any excuse I can to bring it up because I feel like it's just really underrated. It has a 7.1 on IMDb, which I think is criminally low for the movie. This movie is just so magical. It's a wonderful Christmas movie. Coming in at number 9 is La La Land. La La Land is an incredible musical. I love that stylistically the movie takes place in modern day. It's a contemporary setting, yet the musical numbers all feel like something you'd see out of a 1950s musical. And if I had to pick my favorite musical number, it'd probably be the opening one, Another Day of Sun. Coming in at number 8 is The Social Network. If I had to pick one of the best written movies of the 2010s, Social Network would have to be one of the best, easily. I think Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield give the best performances that they've ever given in this movie, and David Fincher really only did 3 movies during the 2010s, but I would have to pick this as my favorite of his. Coming in at number 7 is Mad Max Fury Road. This was a movie that, when I first saw it in theaters, I'd heard that it was a masterpiece. But after I saw it the first time, I thought to myself, that was pretty good. I think it's because the movie rarely hits you over the head with any obvious exposition. You really do have to pay attention and look at every single shot to get a good understanding of what is going on. I went to the theaters a second time to see the movie, and I liked it a lot more watching it the second time. Then I saw the movie the third time with my family, and that third time solidified to me that it was a masterpiece, that it was a great movie. This movie has some of the most incredible action I've ever seen. If I had to pick one scene, even though some of these action scenes just kind of bleed into each other, I'd have to pick the portion where the Music Brother in Arms is playing, which is a really great instrumental piece, and it's the valley that they go into where you have all the bikers kind of going over the oil rig. Coming in at number 6 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Rarely does a Tarantino movie leave me feeling moved by the end of it, right? He's a great writer, he's a great director, his movies are generally entertaining, but a movie like this went above and beyond being entertaining. I was kind of wondering for most of the movie, like, what's the point? Why make a movie like this? And it becomes pretty clear in the last 30 minutes, and I was genuinely moved by what I had seen. On top of that, it feels like such a wonderful love letter to 1960s Hollywood. You know, if I had a time-traveling DeLorean, I would love to go back to the late 1960s to see what Hollywood looked like at that time. At number 5 is Inside Out. Pixar made a lot of really great movies in the last 10 years. Inside Out stuck with me the most, and I think it's because Pixar has set the bar high when it comes to unique and creative ideas. Having these emotions living in Riley's head and all of the different things involved with like what they do in their day-to-day lives, trying to take care of Riley and trying to look out for her, I thought was so brilliant. And with each additional scene, they kept on coming up with these great ideas about what might happen if these two emotions had to go through an adventure in Riley's mind. So Inside Out was truly wonderful. At number 4 is Parasite. I love this movie the first time that I saw it, and I loved it even more the second time I watched it recently. And I think it's because there are a number of things that happen in Parasite that you don't see coming when you watch it the first time. Obviously, the second time you watch it, you are looking out for those things, but what's great is that there are other really clever hints and clues about the whole story when you're watching it the second time that are more meaningful because you know what's coming. And for me, the movie still boasts one of the most incredible reveals at a midway point in a movie. And it's a very meaningful movie, it's very funny, and by the time it's over, you have to pick your jaw up off the floor. At number 3 is Avengers Endgame. I don't know what else to say about this movie that hasn't already been said, but I think if this movie turned out pretty good, I think it would have been a failure. I feel like a movie like this, a massive conclusion, has to be great. And it absolutely was. I've seen the movie a few times since it came out, and it still blows me away how incredibly well the Russo brothers pulled off this movie. If I had to pick a favorite scene, it's the portal scene. Coming in at number 2 is Inception. Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors working today. Inception is such a brilliant idea. It kind of continues in the trend of The Matrix, where instead of being a big dumb action movie, it's a very smart action movie. It's really crazy to try and wrap your head around the story and understand all the levels, all the layers of what's going on, and it's really cool. Certain things that they do in scenes where characters aren't dreaming versus when they are dreaming. There's just so much to pay attention to, and I love it so much. And for me, my 2 favorite scenes in that movie are when Cobbs is dreaming and he gets pushed into the bathtub, and I'm sure you remember what happens after that, and also the hallway fight between Joseph Gordon-Levitt and the henchman while the hallway is... It's mind-blowing stuff. And coming in at number 1 is Your Name. As you know, I've talked about this film on my channel on a few occasions, and I think I put it at number 1 because when you take something familiar like a body swapping story, it seems to me that you look at something like that and you'd think that, well, if you're lucky, if you're skilled, you might be able to do something pretty cool with the body swapping idea. And I think a movie like this basically realized the maximum potential of the body swapping story. It still blows my mind, the ideas they were able to come up with and the way that they were able to make, everything work so beautifully. At an hour and 47 minutes, this is one of the shorter films on my list, and I'm still blown away by how much they jam-packed into this movie, how meaningful, how much you feel like you've lived with these characters, even though you've only been watching them for a little under an hour and 47 minutes. So right now, the way I'm feeling is that Your Name was my favorite movie of the 2010s. And maybe on another day it would be Inception, maybe on another day it would be Avengers Endgame, but right here, right now, I pick Your Name as my favorite movie from the 2010s. Thank you so much for watching my list, guys. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with my list. If you have any comments, please comment on the video below. Like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.